Welcome into a new week on the Fun Astrology Podcast. Thomas Miller, thanks for joining us. And boy, do we have a happy day today. I mean, I'll even throw some of this in there because by the time you're listening to this, Jupiter has turned direct. Yay! It happened at 1:31 this morning. And then Mercury turns direct at 11:16 this morning. These are all Eastern U.S. time zone times. Then we have an interesting aspect with Mars tonight. It trines Jupiter, 10:36 tonight. And, of course, that's on the heels of what we were talking about last week with even yesterday, the Sun squaring Pluto. And your moon is void, of course, until 6:03 a.m. East Coast time today when it enters Aries. So there's your just real fast 45-second look at the sky. So let's start to pick this apart. So the first great place to start, obviously, would be with Jupiter turning direct. And I've had that chart up now, looking at it at 1:31 my time this morning when Jupiter finally exited retrograde. Yay! So it's in 22 degrees Aquarius. It will stay in Aquarius until December 28th this year, and then it moves into Pisces. So we are going to see a Piscean Jupiter before we even know it. I mean, it's going to be just around the corner. And then it will do the Pisces-Aries dance next year like it did the Aquarius-Pisces dance this year. It's the Jupiter two-step, you know. It stays in Pisces for a while, and then in the spring it'll go into Aries, and it'll two-step back into Pisces, and then it'll finally kick on in. So next year, though, the theme is Jupiter in Pisces. Back home in ancient astrology, by the way. And there's a real characteristic aspect of Jupiter, and the chart is published on the website, funastrology.com. If you'd like to zip down there and look at it, you'll see this big, thick, very close trine between Jupiter and Mars. Mars is at 21 degrees Libra. Also, we have to catch the sun in this as well because the sun is at 25 degrees Libra. So we've got 21 and 25 degrees Libra, 22 degrees Aquarius. That's a trine. That's a tight trine. So we're starting off Jupiter moving direct with a trine to two grumpy planets because even though it's a trine, the sun is called, we've been talking about this, it's in fall in Libra, meaning that it's just kind of not a good match characteristically. And then Mars is in detriment in Libra, meaning that it rules the opposite sign of Aries. So you have two placements here where the Sun and Mars together, sitting 4 degrees apart, just can't wait to move into Scorpio. Actually, for Mars, it will be a homecoming because it is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. And even in modern astrology, a lot of people say that Pluto is kind of a co-ruler, but they never demoted Mars to being usurped by the modern rulership of Pluto. So I want to just give you a heads up and not to look too much at the shadow side of this, but that angst that a lot of people have been feeling with Mars and the Sun transiting through Libra, this transit, it's been pretty intense, could get a little amplified before the Sun moves out next weekend. Now, another way that this could show up, and it depends on how fast Jupiter gets tracks in direct mode, but you'd have to look at this and say, could the resistance to things that are all over the world, I'm not talking about any place in particular or any issue in particular. There are a lot of people protesting things as they are in the world today from different sides and causes, and maybe those could be amplified again as this transition into Scorpio takes place, with that Jupiter sitting there in Don't Tell Me What to Do Aquarius. And maybe with that trine, that's what that amplifies, so in other words, the discontent, the angst around Mars and Sun just gets gas thrown on the fire by Jupiter turning direct in Aquarius, saying, whatever the issue is, the issue du jour, boom, flash flare. That's another possibility here. Now let's take a look at one more option, and that is the Sun and Mars. So Mars is right there amplifying the Sun, and let's take a real harmonious, beauteous perspective of the Sun in Libra, where everything is Zen. I mean, literally, truly meditative Zen in Libra, very calm and balanced, no angst, and now Jupiter turns direct and just brings all of that to full flavor, if you will. So it could amplify harmonious Zen feeling. You see how the chart gives you options, and then you get to choose which side of the coin you're going to fall on? So there is some tension around this, yes, and there is some harmony and zen around this as well. Now let's fast forward up to Mercury turning direct at, what time did we say? 11:16 a.m. Eastern Time. Mercury, of course, is the third of the three horsemen, the three planets in Libra. It's back in the back of the bus because it's been going the wrong way. It's at 10 degrees Libra. Now, it's going to move really fast once it gets out of its second shadow, the shoulder period. It's going to move fast toward Scorpio as well. But right now, when it turns direct, it is going to be in a trine with Saturn. It's also in a sextile with Venus, the love planet, in Sagittarius. Let's talk about the Saturn piece just real quick for a second. So I've lived on both sides. I've lived my life on both sides of Saturn. I've been on the Saturn has to get my attention. I am not listening. I am not conscious. Wake me up side. And that is what you call no fun. And I'm living now in the Saturn, I hear you, I see you, I feel you. Please be gentle and benefic and show me what's next. And I'm listening. That gives you really an imprint of something in your mind that you just go to whenever Saturn shows up. Structure, foundation, legacy. What can I do to build it solid, build it right, shake it? What falls loose or what rattles? Tighten it up. So that's what we're looking at with this trine with Mercury, is kind of an analytical air, Mercury, air in Libra, air, Saturn in Aquarius, air. So this is all about going out into space and doing exactly what I was talking about there. Shaking it, rattling it, pounding on it, rolling it, and seeing if there's anything that needs to be tightened up in your life. That's how you work positively with that energy. Now, if you're in a relationship and you are being playful in that relationship and things are going well in that relationship, reach out in some creative, playful way and tell him or her that you love them, and watch what might happen later on. After all, it's a sextile aspect with Venus. Have fun. See you tomorrow.